Hello, guys. Good morning. I hope you all are doing well today. I'm letting you know ahead of time. My throat is a little, it's not scratchy, but it's acting up. So if I go hoarse, forgive me. One of the worst individuals to see is a person and individuals that in my opinion, they're always reading their Bibles, they're always praying, they're always fasting, they're always going to church, they're always listening to preaching and teaching on the Word of God. They are involved in a lot of church things, functions, community work, as far as maybe going out and sharing the gospel, telling people about Jesus. They're at work, they're reading their Bible, perhaps they're listening to something, some sort of gospel at work, and they are about their father's business, printing things out at work, for the church, things of that nature. And they are just deeply saturated in any and everything about God. Now, this sounds good. But what you find about some of these individuals is that they have a whole different way that they are. They may be high rollers in the church, deeply involved. They get gold stars at the church for just all that they're doing in the church, all that they're doing for the church. People know that they are Christians because they are letting people see that, whether they're saying it or they're constantly just by their behavior, as far as I'm, Christian music, Christian preaching, all these different things, maybe a little Bible at work somewhere, a little things and trinkets on their desk, a cross, whatever. But they're this way, but yet in their everyday lives, they're a menace to other people. They're a headache to other people. I.e., let me give you some examples. They may be the person that is always just non-compliant with community guidelines wherever they live. When you have a home, a lot of times, at least how it works in the United States, you may be a part of a homeowners association. And so there are rules for the community. It's not every place has that, but a lot will do it. So, for example, they do it so, for example, you can't just park your car in the grass, and you can't just let your grass grow high. But these individuals will be the ones that are always doing something opposite, opposing the community guidelines rules. Now, we understand, if they're telling you to do something ridiculous, but we're talking about something like cutting your grass. This would be the person that would be perhaps constantly being too loud in their community, disturbing their neighbors. Their neighbors have to be coming to them, going over to their house, knocking on their door or their apartment because they're being too loud. These will be the individuals that are letting their dogs go and relieve themselves on somebody else's property. These are individuals that they may live in a community where you're supposed to clean up after your pets, but they don't. They will say in their mind, oh, this stuff's going to break down and go back into the earth. And so there's this lovely gift that's left on the property or in front of somebody else's home. These are individuals that if they have children that are doing things wrong in the community, if people come to talk to them, they're not saying anything. They may allow their children to go and bully and mess with other people's kids, messing with other people's properties, and they're not doing anything about it. If anything, they might be a bully themselves. These are individuals, you see them in line being rude to the cashier. These are individuals that go to restaurants and are rude to the wait staff. Ironically, there's a lot of people that right after church, they go out to eat and they are just so rude. These are individuals that goes to hotels and give the staff a hard time. And even some of them lie so they can get free upgrades. Somebody's listening. That's their thing, to go to hotels. They may reserve a nice room, but the whole idea is so they can get an upgrade to something nicer. So they will go to the hotels and they will, in some cases, plant evidence. Find something to complain about. Going as far as to bring things in there and put it maybe in the bed or in the tubs. Just something to complain so that they can get a free upgrade. These individuals have the Bible and talking about God, and yet at work they can be the worst boss, the worst supervisor. They have no mercy. They have no empathy. They don't know how to be fair and impartial. They don't know how to let go of a grudge. If they have a problem with their employee or employer, they're going to get very vindictive. The way they may behave at home. They can be so into the word and so beloved in the church community, but at home they're completely different. They're different to their children. They're different to their spouses. Because a lot of times people just don't think that their children are souls. They feel like, oh, all the goodness ends at the door. When I come in, then I can become, Madame Tarantula or Sir Tarantula. They just change. They become the bat wings, the roach wings, rat feet, all of that come out at home. And sometimes parents are wondering why their children are so resistant. Because one thing about children, even if they never tell you to your face, they know what you're not supposed to be doing if you're a Christian. If you say that you are a believer of God, they know when you're doing something wrong. You can't go to church and read about patience and kindness, but you're nasty at home. You're not patient or kind to your children. Yes, they have to be disciplined. Yes, they have to be chastised. Yes, no, you can't just allow them to do what they want to do. But at the same time, that's not what I'm talking about. It's a certain level of nastiness that is there to their own flesh and blood. And it is these technicalities that Christians, people say they're Christians or believers, they are doing that causes many people to stumble. I remember years ago, I worked with this lady. We worked in the same clinic. And she was so mean. She had such a mean personality. It's different if you're quiet. You may not smile all the time. There's people that they don't smile all the time and they're quiet, but they're not rude. They're not mean. They may just be, I've met people like that they're quiet and they don't laugh. They don't smile all the time, but when you talk to them, they'll, speak to you with courtesy. If you ask them something, if they show you something, they do it in their same quiet, serious demeanor, but you just know this is a quiet and serious person, not a rude and nasty person. And so there's this lady I worked with. She was older than me. And man, if she didn't have all kinds of religious things on her desk, she was a nasty lady. oh, she was nasty. Just so rude, the way she talked and everything. She just talked to you like, just in an offhanded type of way. And, ooh, my gosh, going to work was like pressure. And, man, I think I don't know, I think one day, my point was I saw that, and that was something that for me, I was like, ooh, I'll never be a Christian. If that's how they are, that's just how I was thinking. Nope. And what I'm saying is how sometimes people don't understand. People who say that they're Christian behave that way. How many people stumble because of their behavior, whether it's because of something they do directly or indirectly? Because they're looking at you like, ooh, you supposed to be a Christian and you doing that? And that's just how I was with her. And I think something happened eventually where, I don't know, she was talking to me or something happened. And just a moment, something happened where I was able to be honest with her. And I was like, you said you're Christian, but I look at how you behave. I was able to really talk to her. I don't know how that happened, but I was able to just say that to her. Me looking at her and she says a Christian, it just doesn't seem to match. And I was like, it does not, I don't think that I would want to be. Oh, I think she started trying to witness to me. She was witnessing to me and I was like, And I wasn't mean to her, but I just told her like, this does not match. And I told her why. And you know what? She started to change after that. I will say that. Once I said that, she started to change. She got better in her attitude. She was nicer. And I think she'd had some things that went down in her life. Something happened. I don't know if I don't think she's the one that lost her husband, but just something. And so when she was trying to talk to me and everything about God and all of that, I think I had the opportunity to just, can I be honest with you? If I know me, it's probably something that I did when I felt like, she was in a position to listen because she's trying to tell me about God. And then I just said that it just doesn't seem to match. The way that you do things, it makes me not want to be a Christian because, and, I remember she was just kind of like, whoa. And she changed after that. She became a nicer person. And I remember when I was getting ready to go and work somewhere else, when I was leaving, a gift that she gave me was this purple Bible. She gave me a beautiful purple Bible, and it was really nice, and I still have it. So what I'm saying is really important, guys, that the way that you're conducting yourself as a believer, it can be a stumbling block to someone else or these individuals, Someone will say that they're Christians, but they are always trying to seduce somebody. No respect for people's marriages or relationships. They work really hard to, chase down that guy. It's like they're sliding into the home plate right in front of his car, pop up, hey, trying to get his attention, or guys doing that, playing that role, trying to figure out what's going on in a woman's life. And some men, they pick women who are very vulnerable, and so they can be playing games, but yet they're a Christian. I mean, there are people say I'm a Christian, they're sleeping with lots of people, flirting with a lot of people. Their phone, it's like a whole different world. Whether it's websites, pornographic websites, dating sites where they're just talking to a whole lot of people in everybody's inbox, messenger, their photo gallery on their phone. It's a whole different world. And so all these things matter, because you'll find a lot of times these people are so caught up in church and doing all these things, but it is not changing them on the inside. And it's going to be a stumbling block to other people, and God is going to hold these individuals accountable. Being religious, over religious, but yet still mean, rude, flirty, shady, that's just the worst thing to see. And so individuals will be surprised when their children stray from God as soon as they get out of the house, because you are not a good example. People wonder why they're not getting breakthroughs in their life, because they may just be entertaining sin. Why certain things are going in their lives? Because they're being a stumbling block to other people through their behaviors. Especially if they're supervisors or bosses, they can really make people's lives hard. And yet they go to church and sing the praises and open their hymnals and praying and playing the piano at the church and being a godly deacon, a goodly whatever at the church. But there's so much carnage behind them. They may have an emotional moment, but they still go back. You know, there's people who a lot of times they'll cry out of guilt, feeling bad, but it's external. Yes, there'll be tears on their face, but no tears in the heart. And honestly, one of the things that the Lord shared with me is that so many people have tried to get to know Him and want to turn to Him, but because of others who said that they were Christians, a lot of people have fallen by the wayside. They just left the church. They got destroyed by the church. They got destroyed by people. And I'm telling you, the church is not just that organized building, but people outside in the community going through life like little assassins, saying that they're Christians and messing people's lives up. Lots of people have fallen away from God or got discouraged or changed their mind altogether about even receiving the Lord because of what they see people who said they're Christians doing or not doing. Now understand that these individuals are going to stand before God by themselves for what they have done. But those who cause others to stumble, the Bible says it's going to be better that a millstone was hung around their neck and cast in the bottom of the sea. And that includes people who say that they're Christians. That includes people who are going to church all the time. Because a lot of them are doing those things, and outside in their personal lives and in their community, they are a living nightmare. There are a lot of people who are setting in their heart to say, I will never become a Christian if that's what a Christian does. Because you going to church in your church shoes, people know in your community that you're a Christian, but you're being rude, you're being a menace, you're being non-compliant, you're being combative. That right there is a testimony. That right there is what lets people who know that you're supposed to be a Christian, keeps them from knowing Jesus Christ. Again, yes, they're going to be held accountable for themselves. But people that do that, that's driving the nail in the coffin of some people. Gossiping, lying, being passive aggressive, gaslighting people, but yet religiously will get up and go to church, religiously will get up and go to prayer, get up to pray and do all these things. Guys, it's impossible to do all these things and not be changed. That's how the Pharisees were. There are many that says, well, the church is a hospital, and so when you go to the hospital, you don't go to the hospital to get worse. When you go into a hospital, individuals go to a hospital, most hospitals are very cold. The temperature is going to be there because they want to minimize the germs and all kinds of stuff. They love warmth, so they can just percolate and grow. So hospitals are cold. They're very clean. They should be very clean. The ones I go to, they are clean. The floors are spotless. The rooms are spotless. The doctors have certain precautions that they use before they even treat you. If you're staying in a hospital, you're going to eat a certain type of food. If the doctors will decide your diet, if you have high blood sugar or you're diabetic or whatever, there's certain things you cannot eat. And there are rules, and you have to follow what they tell you to do. So stop comparing. I want people to stop comparing the church to a hospital. It's correct if you're saying for improvement and for change and to be rehabilitated to become better. And there are things you have to do. The doctors and the nurses can talk to you and counsel you and all of that, but it's up to you to follow the regime and to follow the directives and to take the medicines that they give to you, all of that, to get the surgeries, to get what you need to get better, right? So there are people, whoever, they want to say the church is like a hospital, so it means I'm supposed to come there with my bad behavior, with my strongholds, and I'm supposed to just be able to stay there and just continue being that way and spread it in the church. The liar comes to church, doesn't want to get delivered, but spread lies in the church and teams up with other little lies that they find in there and create havoc. The person who's having problems, sexual issues, can't control themselves, they feel they're supposed to come to the church, stay the same, and sow their wild oats all through the church, laying up with people's men, laying up with people's women, husbands, wives, doing all this stuff, using people, sleeping, going through all the single women in the church as a single brother, going through all the single men in the church as a single sister, create all this havoc. This is not what church is supposed to be. Our relationship, we are the church, but we're supposed to have a relationship with God so He can change our lives. And so when we're not doing that, we'll become a stumbling block to others. Your behavior, our behavior outside of all that we're claiming to be is the biggest testimony ever. So just think about that. The worst thing is to see someone who's just highly involved in religious things and going to church, and yet a nasty, rude, combative person, disrespectful person, cutthroat person in their everyday dealings in life, in their home, and in society on a whole. God bless.